Fades are confusing, right? Let's try and simplify it a little bit in this video. A fade is the illusion of going from lighter to darker. Barbers at the moment are confusing everyone with all these different names. Let's simplify it. Really, there's two important things you need to know. One, how short you want to go at the very bottom of the fade. And two, how high you want the fade to be. Let's start with shortness. I've had loads of guys come in asking for a skin fade, but just start from a number one. Let's be clear, a skin fade means skin. And that means when you run your hands over it at the bottom, you feel literally no hair at all, it's just skin. The barber will take it short and then use these foil shavers to take it all the way down to the skin. The layer then above that is using mini trimmers. The length that this cuts out varies depending on barber to barber and how they've got their tools set up, but generally that's about 0.3 millimeters. Next level up is the clippers, and it will be set to 0. Again, this will vary barber to barber depending on how they've got their tools set up, but generally about 0.5 mil. The next layer up from there would be the lever, so this would be a 0.5, half guard. And then the next one would be a number 1 guard, which you would then add to them clippers. And anything longer than that, it starts to look less like a fade. It's much more of a dark and there's not as much a transition. But what gets a little bit confusing is that hair density and hair color, and these can make a massive difference with how the fade looks. If you've got blonde hair or if you've got fine hair, using that number 1 might look the same as the equivalent of having a skin fade on me. On the opposite hand, if you've got really dark hair, using a number 1, it might not even look like there's any fade whatsoever. So you might need to go super low. And point 2 is how high you want the fade. Now it'll either be high, medium, or low. We're not going to go over tapers or burst fades in this. Let me know in the comments if you want me to go over those as well. High fade. This will be if you want it to be quite short on top. It'll be quite a severe look, as generally the fade will be done over really quite a small area. If you're taking the skin all the way up there's only a very small amount of hair that then you can fade. The most popular fade I do in the shop is a medium fade. Place the guideline in the mid area, and that then gives us a good amount of space to do a nice blurry fade over. This one's pretty versatile. You can go short on top. You can leave a little bit more length through there. It also means that we can then start dropping the fade in through the back area to build up a bit more shape in through the crown and then really work with the head shape. And then finally with the low fade, the guideline we would place just above the ear. And this is great for those haircuts where you really want to build up a load of length and you really want some width in through the sides. You wouldn't want to do this if your hair grows out, as it's then very easy for it to look bulky and heavy in through these corners. Or if you're going to go short on top, it can almost make the hair look a little bit too round. With the low fade, there's a few more options of how you spread out the fade. You can do it over quite a small area, or you can actually then drag it out really quite high as well. So within that, it gives a little bit more variation of where the fade actually is. Something to consider with the fades is depending on how short you're going to go at the very bottom will dictate how short it goes higher up as well. This is where it becomes important to try and work out what the most important things from a haircut that you want are, because there'll always be trade-offs. Would you rather it be super short through the bottom, or would you rather have extra length at the top? If you want to keep extra length at the top, then you want to make sure you don't go super short at the bottom. If you'd rather have it super short at the bottom, that means you're going to sacrifice a little bit of the length at the top. As you can see, you can go quite in depth into it. Two things to focus on: how short you want the fade to be at the very bottom, and then how high you want the fade to be. If you're confused, come to see us at Johnny's Chop Shop in Soho. The guys upstairs are great at fading, and you'll be able to work together to find out what's the best fade for you.